Welcome to Earthtide Studios. I'm Zach Knight, and in today's video we're going to be running through 5 great and helpful tips for working in Cubase. If you like these tips, please subscribe. We also have a free vocal production course available which teaches you everything you need to be able to record, all the way to mixing vocals. If you want that, you can just click the link below and it's yours. These tips range from a beginner to an intermediate level and are some of the most useful tricks that I've learnt and used in Cubase. So the first tool is the audio alignment panel. Now this tool is really useful. It allows you to take your main vocal and edit it to any number of additional vocal takes, which can greatly increase the speed of your vocal editing workflow and also ensures that your vocals are tight. Let's have a look at it.
So this is the audio alignment panel. Now, as I said, you can have any vocal that you want, you know, your main vocal or a backing vocal or whatever, as your reference point, which you put here. And then you can have your target, which is basically any other vocal. It could be a backing vocal, a harmony, or an additional main line, and it allows you to put them together in time. Now, let me just show you some out-of-time vocals.
Burn it down and bring the reaper.
So as you can tell, these vocals, there's a few different places here where the vocals are out of time, and we've got different things going on here. This is all untuned. It's just a project that we're working on. So I'm just going to quickly bounce this vocal here, which is in time. Now, let's have a look at the audio alignment panel. So what you want to do is you want to select the vocal that you want as your reference, and then click up here to add it as your guide. Now, let's bounce these vocals here as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to select this vocal here as our target. Now, we want to match the words, and you can allow it to select time shifting. This can include, this can add a few little artifacts in it, so it's not necessarily always the best thing. But if you can't fix it with just matching it, then you can go from there. And you can also choose how precise. So if you want the vocal a little bit looser, you can pick less than 100%. I usually just do 100%. So then you just click Align Audio, and bang, it aligns this audio. Now, this one has actually time shifted because it couldn't do it all together in one. And then you can just simply click the next one, click Align, click the next one, and so on. And then you now have all these vocals, and they're all aligned. Now, as you can see, it's not 100% perfect, and sometimes it doesn't quite get things correct, as you can see here. So what you can do is you can cancel that, and this top one's fine, and you can actually get it to do it in smaller chunks. So we'll just slice this here, and we'll slice this here, and then we'll pick this still as the main one. Now, you don't actually have to cut the top one. You can just pick a bottom one here, align the audio, and if you wanted to, you can even just press down and go to the next one, and so on, and so on, and etc., etc. And as you can see, it's now edited up and nicely in time. So this tool is really, really useful to help you increase your vocal editing workflow.
So this next one is going to be slip editing. And in Cubase, we can look at how you can maneuver the waveform any way that you want in a clip, which can give you a lot of control. Also, we're looking at crossfades and how Cubase deals with them automatically.
Okay, guys, so the next tip we're going to be looking at is slip editing. Now, slip editing is exactly what it says. It's talking about slipping around a piece of audio inside the waveform, or inside the audio clip that you're looking at here, and it's a pretty useful function. So, as you can see, there's a lot of vocals in this session. We'll have a listen to it right now.
Unaware it started growing over time, out of time. We watch the second hands go by.
Now, those vocals are pretty in time right now. But if they weren't, say for instance, this was like this and all of that, etc., we'd want to fix those up. So you can do that by slip editing. So this particular vocal here is the main one. This is a double here. So you pick whichever clip you want, and you hold in Control and Alt, and then literally move the mouse left and or right, and it will allow you to move the piece of audio in and out. It's very useful. Say, for instance, this particular word you wanted to move, but then you wanted to leave all of these together. You can actually adjust the whole clip, but you can also slice and adjust a certain amount. Sometimes you'll find that when you do try to adjust a clip like this one, it won't move. And what that means is it means that there's no room left within the scope of what the Cubase perceives to be room to slip. So what you want to do in that case is you just want to bring the end of them down a bit and closer, and then you'll be able to slip edit. Obviously, there's limitations as far as you moved it, but it means that you can do that as well. The great thing with Cubase as well is, as you can see, I've made these cuts along here, but I haven't, as you can't see, I haven't put any crossfade in there. Because in Cubase, unless you specifically want to, you don't actually have to put a crossfade in. You can go up here and go to Project Setup and Auto Fade Settings, and here's your crossfades. Click on there, and then you can actually select to do automatic crossfades on every fade in, fade out, and crossfades, and you can decide your length as well. I prefer anything between 5 and 10 milliseconds. This project I've picked 7, and you want to make sure as well that when you're actually checking your crossfade settings, you want it to be equal power, not equal gain. That's going to give you a smoother crossfade. Cool, that's it.
Group editing. So with group editing, you can edit any number of different audio pieces that you want together at the same time. It's really super useful for things like drums. Let's have a look at that.
So let me just show you what we've got here in this session here. So as you can hear, there's a couple of spots there where the drummer is a little bit early and a little bit late on some of the kicks and some of the snares, and we can look at a really easy way to be able to get them all in time. So we've got this folder here with all of the tracks here for the drums. You know, we've got kick all the way through to the room mics, and it's sounding pretty good, but we want to get them all in time. So what you need to do to access group editing is select all the tracks that you want and make sure that you put them into a corresponding folder. Now, in this particular case, they're already in there, but if you wanted to do so, you just need to grab them all and drag them to the folder that you're working in, and then just let go, and voila, they go all in there. Now, I've got these all sent to this particular drum bus here, so that at least I can solo or mute them all as I desire. To access group editing, you need to click up here on this little button here, and what it does is it means that you can actually edit all of the tracks inside the whole folder at once. Now, in my particular case, I've actually hotkeyed group editing as Shift-E to turn it on and off. Cubase will tell you if you've moved anything that group editing might not work because the tracks are all out of sync compared to where they originally were in the session. I've never actually had that be a problem, so it's not too much of an issue. So looking at the track here now, we can see that this is our grid here, and first of all, we can see that this kick is a little bit late. Now, this is actually around about the transient here, so as much as this looks like it is, we actually don't want to be putting it like bang on or anything along those lines. It's nice for the kicks in this particular song to sit a bit late, so there is a good spot. Now we can go over here, and this kick also needs to go a bit closer to as well. Let's just make the waveforms a little bit larger so we can see what we're dealing with here, and then this one over here. Now, say for instance, if you wanted to adjust something within the scope, I'm just going to move that snare there in time, within the scope of the whole session, so all of the tracks here. So say for instance, we wanted to move this one, but we didn't want to adjust that. We turned group editing off. Grab these, bring them in time, and then turn group editing back on again. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to maneuver all of the stuff again in the same time. So what you can basically do is you can adjust. Now, I've been just adjusting to the snare because that's the main transient, but you can actually adjust the whole thing, or you can adjust certain parts of it. So it really depends on what you want to do, but that's how you do group editing.
Cycle marker bouncing. So cycle markers are a really cool Cubase only function that allows you to select different regions and put different markers on them. And then basically you can bounce however you want to. If you want to have 5 songs in a session, you can just set up a marker for each of them and then click, bounce, and you can bounce all 5 at the same time. And the best part about it is you could be making a coffee while Cubase is doing the work for you. Let me show you how.
So we're looking at cycle markers. Now, these are really useful, especially in a larger session when you're looking to be able to bounce multiple different sources of audio or multiple songs at the same time. This session, for instance, has 5 songs in it, and I might want to bounce them all at the same time. So to get access to cycle markers, you need to right click over here and either select add track and then go to marker. You don't need more than one marker track in a session. You can, but it's not that necessary. And then what you need to do is you need to make sure that you actually have the area that you want to add the cycle marker selected all in one. And then after that, you just need to click here to add cycle marker. And then what it will do is it'll add this marker here that runs across the whole song. You can name it up here, so we can just call it song 1. And we can do another one, say, for instance, over here. I know that's not the specific part of the song, but anyway, we'll just call this one song 2. Now, the reason that these are useful, besides being able to skip around the song and like the session and jump between the different songs, it's also when we're bouncing. So we're going to look at how we can actually bounce using a cycle marker. So you click here, and when you've got your export, you go to between cycle markers, and you can actually select song 1 and song 2. Then you can select the different channels that you want, whether or not you want it to bounce as an MP3 or a WAV file, what bitrate you want it to be, etc. And then when you go to perform the audio export, it'll actually bounce song 1 and then song 2 with whatever particular channels or parameters you chose. It's very useful, especially when you have multiple songs in a session, and it means that you can really speed up your workflow and you don't have to sit around and wait so that you can bounce, the next song.
And lastly, we're looking at key commands. So in Cubase, you can actually set a control or a command for any hotkey that you want for any function. It's really super useful. I've used it a lot. I'll show you how.
In Cubase, you can set up a command or a hotkey as you want for any function within the DAW. Let me just show you how. So if you go up to Edit and then click onto Key Commands, it'll come up here with the option for you to be able to see all of the commands that you can do in Cubase, all of the ones that you can hotkey, and you can assign whatever you want to them. So I'll show you some of the custom ones that I've done now. So if we type in Auto Align, and then click the search up here, it allows you to come across the Open Audio Alignment panel. So in this particular case, it actually didn't come up with a assigned command for this based off the default one. So what you do is you click here, type in the key. So you've got Alt, Shift, and A, and then click Assign. And then after that, it'll actually assign that function to there, and then you can just click OK, and it's done. You can also click to store here on your preset, and you can have different key command settings for different types of sessions, and you can also just click up here and load one up as you need it. So now we can just go back into the session and hold Shift A, and voila, the audio alignment panel opens up, and we can press it again to close it. Done.
If you found this video useful, please subscribe. Also, leave a comment below and let me know your favorite Cubase tip or trick that you've learned. New videos every Thursday. See you then.